Teaching Tuesdays. So
Tuesday,
Michelle,
yeah.
Sam and Mark have just finished putting their PDF through the code generating wizard and are kind of like at a next step where they need to put it on GitHub and do that kind of stuff. So I was thinking that it's a really good example that we could use and we could help guide them through for the GitHub aspect, you know?
Sure.
And Sam's on here, so he's ready to share when we get to that point. First, we're doing question and answers though, I think.
I also wanted to, demo a pull request and that kind of thing. So
yeah,
that as well. But yep, first is question and answers.
So I got a question that's super long, so I don't want to take over. So anybody else that has questions?
Others who have questions. If you want to do a raise your hand thing, I can also watch the screen for a while.
Quickly heat up some dinner.
And this is also, Quentin is also here to answer questions.
Yes,
not
I'm
just me, in case there's.
Yeah, it wasn't me that's answering. In case that was what was, I don't know.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, Aubrey, go.
Great. Kicking it off.
I've always got a question. Mia helped us put in the code for like email to court, etc. And it's populating a question to ask, is anyone else filing this form with you? And it wasn't in our, actually in the code that we pasted, and I don't know how to get it to not populate because I don't think we need it.
Okay, let's take a look, and we should decide if that's the case, because we have enough people on the call to help answer that too.
Yeah, it's popping up other places.
Screen, Aubrey?
Yes. Okay. So that's the question that I'm pretty sure we don't need.
Can we see the form? Oh, because this is the marriage without delay? So you're only ever having one person.
It's two people.
Always exactly two people.
And this is populating after both people have signed it.
Okay. Yeah, so it's because you didn't have a way to answer this before to say what the number was, but it's always exactly two people, right?
Yes.
Can we see the form for a second and just make sure?
What do you mean the form? Like go through the whole thing?
No, what it looks
just
like.
Let's look at the PDF, the output. You can just click no here and then we'll see. Yeah, so you're having, petitioners, you just have one name there. So that's
just me being lazy, filling it out and letting Google auto-populate.
Okay.
But we have the two people.
Oh, I see. So the first one is only supposed to be one name.
Yeah, this would ideally be something else.
Yes, you're not marrying yourself. All right. Yeah, so let's take a look at that question. And this really goes back to the way that DocAssemble builds lists. So if you go back to the Teaching Tuesday from a couple weeks ago, it might fit into context a little bit more now. So let's go to the playground and just what we're going to want to do is change the way that that list is built. Mm-hmm. So for any list, you have to know, are there any items in the list? How many items are there? And are there any more to gather? So right now, the default way that our interview will help answer those is by asking, I think for that one, it asks one at a time, like, is there anybody else that you want to add to the list? But you already know up front the number, so we can just set those in our code block, and then we won't get asked ever for we won't get asked like how many people to put in there if there's another person. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
All right. So let's find the code block where you're controlling the order of all the questions. That will be a good place for us to do that. All right, and it's the users that you're controlling it in that, correct? In that list is what you're putting into the form?
Yes.
Okay. So let's make a new line somewhere here. It can be at the very top, like make it to replace the current line 77 or to go in front of the current line 77. So we're going to set users dot ask number equals true. ask underscore number. And then a new line. And then users dot target number equals 2. So now it will stop once it gets to 2 people on the list, and it won't ask you if there are any more.
Is that better than setting there is another to false?
So there is another is a transient variable that you shouldn't ever set with code.
Oh, okay.
You should avoid setting it with code. I mean, there's some places where I do that. So I'm not saying like you absolutely can't and that won't work. But yes, it is better because this will probably work better when you're editing the list later in a way that won't potential problems if someone wanted to modify it. Okay, so if you've saved it, we might be able to refresh it and go back and then see if we're still getting that question. All right, let's see why it's being asked. So click source.
So I think refresh might not, because that's right at the.
Let's see why it's being asked. That'll tell us whether
Okay.
refresh is the problem. Okay, so at the very end is usually the place where you can see the most, like the proximate cause. Okay, so we need a definition of users.there is another. So yeah, that's telling us it hasn't run that code that we just put in. So I think we're going to have to do a save and run from the beginning.
I've been having issues with the refresh. Mia was banging her head against the wall with us yesterday.
Refresh only works under certain circumstances.
Where it works, it's great, but if it doesn't work, so these questions here,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to want to move up earlier as well.
Okay. Before where?
You probably want them to happen before they see the preview. I think the basic contact information question, and then we've been also moving this interpreter question up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah,
I'm
I
noticing.
said the end, but I meant before you see the preview. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
that's my fault.
Sorry, let me just write that down so I don't forget. Okay.
If
All
you,
right. So I think we've solved the first thing that you were running into.
Yeah,
because it didn't ask us before it showed us the final form. So that's good.
correct.
Caroline,
so
you were
then
about to
do
say
you
something?
think, Quentin, that it makes sense to do preview, signature, I mean, everything except for signature. And then the idea is preview, signature,
Final instructions for
final
the clerk.
page.
Yeah, I think the only thing we still want people to see is the final instructions for the clerk
Mm-hmm.
after
yeah.
they click the send to court button.
I know you like that.
You're
Katie.
saying after they click send to court?
Yeah, we want them to have a chance to add like last minute instructions to the clerk that they didn't know when they finished the rest of the form, basically.
Okay. Thank you. And it definitely didn't ask that question.
Yeah. I noticed like you had a line break issue on the last page too. If you want, we could solve that, or we can let someone else ask a question. You might already know that. You just have to add one more empty line before the make changes button so that it goes on its own line rather than on the right of the preview image.
Okay, I didn't notice that, but I can do that. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Caroline, you'd mentioned, and Mariah, I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe you had a question. Caroline mentioned it before you joined, Mariah.
I put her on the spot and she's messaging me saying, no,
Yeah.
we're not ready yet.
Okay.
I don't think we're ready. It's a lot to merge, like or a lot for me to merge basically two operational YAMLs together. There's a lot of when the variable names are different. So I'm still in the process of trying to make that work. So there's not really a discrete question yet.
Yeah. I wasn't sure about the from your clue, Quentin, about, I think in one YAML, it's witnesses. And in our YAML, I think it's other, would it be, users, other users, I think it might be.
It was in one, yeah, in our actual program, it was users defined, user 0 defined the person taking the interview as well as
Right.
the co-defendants. But
That's-
in the operational thing we want to merge in, they were separate. It was user for the person taking the interview, and I'll put my video on. And then users, sorry, and then witnesses for the people taking it. But there's so much more code in our module that uses witnesses. I actually think it only needed to change two variables in our main interview to witnesses to like merge them together instead of using, I tried it with that code, but then it was so many changes in our module one. Like, I mean, it's like 150 times we use the word witnesses in the module. So
the new one in the demo.
In the sample. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have different words. We need to have one word for it. I'm calling it the module,
Yeah.
but we can use any word, but it's that's what makes the text and the email work. And that uses the word witnesses. And in our main interview, we only used users I for the co-defendants twice. So it was a lot easier to just change that. But it doesn't work, and because there's tons of things that it needs to be marked, like
Be changed.
Yeah.
Other things. We got to bring in
Yeah.
other stuff. Okay.
You might find it worth it just because you think about your future self. Like if you come back to it, will you be able to understand what it does if it's using a different variable name? But I get what you're saying. If you're using the word witness like in the body of the text, future editors, which often is just you, like you come back to it and you don't know what you yourself wrote. So, but yes, obviously if it's for someone else to read and understand, that's even more
We should
important.
probably make it be co-tenants for in terms of when Quentin's talking about coming back and looking at it again. We should probably separate out to make it be a separate variable. Make users be a separate variable, and have the users that are higher index than 0 be co-tenants. I think that's probably what we ought to do.
That definitely works, yeah. And then as far as like on this Slack, and this might lose some of the people who weren't on that exact thread and haven't run into this, like the whole intrinsic name issue that was brought up is really an important one. It mostly only matters when you are using the variables in different places and want to have questions that can be answered about them. But if it's kind of like a final step, it doesn't matter as much. So I'm trying to think about how that would fit in for what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like you still want to have the list of users for the case caption and things like that, right? And probably for the cover page to the court, you want it to say all the people who are in the case, not just the first person. You want the co-tenants on there too.
What if we make the co-tenants equal users 1, I+1 or something?
Well, that's what he had, but then when I actually go to our module text, like I said, there's 150 words that are witnesses, and so I can search and replace all those with other tenants, but it just didn't, it seemed to cause more problems doing that.
Okay. Well, let me just show everybody. I think it's useful because we've just been talking about a problem where most people probably don't know what we've been doing. So I'll just show you like the little quick thing about working with lists that we basically are referencing without people getting to do it yet. So if we built a list like this,
just warning that they're about 4 minutes, which I think there's plenty of time for this.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into how to do it in DocAssemble, just like the very literal, like the list thing. So this is our list, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we wanted to get the last, everything except for the first thing in the list, this is a shortcut syntax that Python has. It's called array slicing. that lets you start the list at an arbitrary place and get just the things that you want. So if any place I wanted to refer to just the second half of the list, right now I'm getting everything. But if I wanted to use a for loop that started at item 2, which is array index 1, I could do the same thing. So that's just a way to like, and there's lots of other types of slices you can do. You can do it from the beginning. You could do negative indexes, which is interesting too, where it's like the last item. If you don't know how long the list is, without having to reverse it first, you can just get the last item. And we can start from the last few if we wanted to count negative. That's wrong.
Can you just say what the -1 does again?
-1 gives you the most recent item to add in the list, so like
I
the end of the list, if you don't know the length of the list. So this is just like a little shortcut syntax for working with lists that might be helpful in different places. I mean, your interview that you're working on is probably one of the first ones where we're really thinking about multiples up front, where we want to manipulate only certain of them of the items to do different things. But it's just good to know this is Python syntax that you can become familiar with. And the keyword you want to look for is array slicing.
You mean when you're looking at documentation?
You're looking for documentation about it, yeah. And actually, they might call it a list slice. I'm using the word array because it's familiar to me, but I think maybe if you found the documentation, it's going to be list rather than array, because technically,
I think
arrays,
Python.
they're lists in Python. There's no arrays in Python. Okay, I think it's as far as we can go. In 2 minutes, I don't think we're going to solve another person's question, so I'm going to give Michelle those extra 2 minutes to start her GitHub discussion.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, especially because I want to talk about. So in preparation, Maeve, you mentioned, and I've forgotten the names.
And Mark, basically just want to know, we want to go over again what you do when you have you generated your code in the wizard. What do you do then? How do you get it onto GitHub?
When you've generated your code in the wizard. So this lesson was going to be about how to make new commits, how to create, a new branch, and then how to make a pull request, right? And how to accept a pull request and that kind of thing. Okay. So we can go over other stuff, but that wasn't going to be the focus of this. Like if you're going from having a script, a file, right, and copying and pasting that into docassemble, and then pushing that to a adding a project and putting that there and creating a new repository with it, we can, but that wasn't going to be the focus of today's lesson. So I just want to know
well, I thought we would have more time in the questions, so it's fine. Maybe just Sam and Mark can approach you afterwards to get some help with that.
Sure. I would be totally,
Are you okay with that, Sam?
Yep, that works for me.
Okay.
Not that we then couldn't use his that project shamelessly to demo the rest of it as well. I'm just not sure how much time we have. Okay, so today we are going to talk about multiple branches. So how to preserve our master branch so that it's safe, and do things in other branches so we're not interfering with the work of other people when we're collaborating with them. And then how to use pull requests to then use other people's changes. So if someone else makes changes to your code, takes your code, makes changes, and presents them to you, how will they present them to you to say, here, use these changes, do something with them, right? Because they haven't been in your editor, they haven't been in your user account, and they still want to contribute to your code. So I'm going to, and this is going to be less of a follow along and more of a demonstration that you may be able to go back to and and rewatch and try on your own. Questions are still totally welcome. If someone like Maeve perhaps could keep an eye on the chat and see if anyone brings up something there or raises their hands there. Great.
I'll keep it, if someone messages, I think that's the best way to just say, I have a question, just write, I have a question.
Yeah, or to say it out loud, that's also possible.
Yeah, way easier. Unmute yourself.
Yeah. So basically I've made a project up here, you can see PR example, and I've already pushed to GitHub. Ooh, I should go there. That's not actually the repository, but that's okay. My repositories. Where did I put? Oh no, I hadn't pushed yet. That's right. So I haven't pushed yet. I'm pushing the very first. This is the very first time I'm pushing. I've got my README, a demo of a pull request, in case that flags anyone's radar. That's totally okay. PR example. I've even customized the email address so that that doesn't use a private one. It just uses GitHub's public one. And now I'm going to go to GitHub and I'm going to commit the initial commit, which I wrote in here. I guess it saved it from before. And I'm going to commit it. And that will create for me, as we've shown before, a repository in my GitHub repository. There we go, right here. So, and a repository, again, is just like a folder online somewhere. Every website is just a folder on a different computer somewhere else. And there's code that makes it look pretty to the person going to that address. So there's, we have a code displaying our files in this folder in the cloud. And now I want to edit some code. I want to make a script. So I'm going to go back to my playground, and I just happen to have prepared this lovely script for us that works, I swear. So I want to go and I want to now put that on GitHub. But the thing is, I'm not sure this is, well, first of all, I want to select it in my interview files, right? So I want to select this and then save it to make sure that file is going to get pushed to GitHub. And the other thing I want to do is I want to, oh, dang, I didn't show this in the order I wanted to. Well, let's push this onto master and then I'll show you. So add initial questions, sure. So I'll push this onto master. Now I want to make a change, but I want to experiment. I want to try something new. I could do it here in this project. I'm going to show you the way I often do it, which is to make and don't judge me on this, but I have a lot of projects that I do. Oh, shoot. I don't even, oh, okay, hang on. I think I can get there. Manage projects. I'm going to have to delete something. Very good. So I'm going to add a new project and I'm going to do PR example dev. I'll do a specific feature. I'll call it something like sad ending. So I'm going to add a sad ending. Right now I've got a happy ending in my script. I'm going to add a sad ending. So I'm going to go to PR. Where's PR sad ending. I'm going to go to my packages. And this doesn't have, it's a blank canvas, and I'm actually going to tell it to pull in from, so if you have an existing repository and you want to get code from it, you come here with a fresh project or a fresh package. It can also be a package, but I tend to do a fresh project. And you put the URL in here, just like this, no ending slash, nothing like that, just like that. Then docassemble will recognize what branches are there, you select the master branch or the branch you want. We'll talk about branches in a bit, and you go ahead and pull. And now when I go to the playground, I'll see that I have my script.yaml. So now I'm going to make a sad end question, not a rock fact. And I'm going to save it, and I'm not going to go deeper into the code than that because this is a demo. So I'm going to go back to packages, and now I want to make a new branch because someone else is going to be editing this code as well, and I don't want to possibly interfere with their changes. They will hopefully be doing something different, but in case they interfere, and or if I'm just trying out something new and I want to be able to go back to my working code really easily, I'm going to make a new branch. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to say new branch, and I'm going to call it feature sad ending. That's just a convention. I'm adding a new feature. I'm not fixing a bug, you know, I'm adding a new feature, and add sad ending question. And now I'll commit. And what that will do is it basically makes another branch. And another branch is, like everything else, just another folder. So now I've got two folders in my folder online. I've got one that's called master and one that's got feature sad ending. And I can go there and I can see the code there, and the code there is going to be different. Than the code in the master branch. And here, I mean, this isn't a useful view actually, that you would want to go see, you can go see in the files it doesn't matter, how the question looks different. So, and then, you know, I've edited it, I did a bunch of stuff, and I'm good with what I've got. I've tested it out in various ways. I feel confident that it works. And now I want to reintegrate it into master, because master is where all the safe code is. That's where the stuff that's done and I'm comfortable with goes. So I want to reintegrate it, and I'm going to do a compare and pull request. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it up here because I'm going to show you how you can do it without that, because that is not always visible. So you go to your feature sad ending, and you go down here, and you make a pull request. We can talk more about the terms and what they mean later. It's from the origins of this system.
Michelle, can you just go back there again? So you're in your branch, and you don't do the big green pull request. You go to your branch.
Feature sad ending. Or
wait,
what
where's
branch you want to go to?
Oh, that okay. The branches feature.
So
and then you do.
Yeah.
Right, and then you do the pull request on the right, or you can do the compare as well, right?
Yeah, you can do compare, and you can see like how. So this shows me the few lines that are different between the previous version and the version that I now did. I just added some lines. Lines that have been deleted will be in red, or words that have been deleted will be in red sometimes. And from here, you can also do a create pull request, which I haven't seen this bar before. So that's something new in the UI for me.
Caroline, I think Michelle wanted to point out that you don't always get the big green button. So that only shows up when you've done the commit really recently.
Oh.
So it's just.
So it says, you know, 3 minutes ago. If it had been yesterday, it probably wouldn't present that to me. So I would want to go here, and I would want to say pull request.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
They do the same thing. Just the way Michelle's showing is the way that always works, no matter how recently you've done the commit.
Okay.
Thanks, Quentin. Yeah. So, and then if this message makes sense here, you want to write here what this pull request does. So if you've done a bunch of saves, right, a bunch of commits on the same branch, which you can totally do. I could have made like 5 more changes. in fact, I didn't even finish my feature, did I? Because I didn't implement the sad ending being shown. I just created the question, right? So I could do a bunch of things to implement it. And then I would say, you know, add sad ending question if it wasn't here, something that made sense. And here I might say, run test by going to something that I really love for folks to do, to this address, and I will actually add new session equals 1, and then it'll be in a video, and someday y'all can ask me about that. And I'm going to pick someone to be a reviewer when I have collaborators. So this is ideally after I have transferred this to Suffolk Lit Lab and I have other people with permissions, and dang, I wanted to demo that. So for example, nonprofit techie might be one of my collaborators, and that would show his name, and I would click his name, and then that name would show up here. Just imagine with me, use your imaginations. I might add a label if I was fixing a bug. Then I might add a label that it's about a bug. But here I would probably call it an enhancement. That can be useful. That's not always required. And then I can come down here and I can see the differences and make sure that it's what I wanted it to be. And really, I should have run this first before making a commit with it. But maybe I'll add that in post. Anyway, so then I'm gonna create a pull request. You can also create a draft pull request. Let's not go into that. Never mind. Create a pull request. Getting distracted. Very thankfully, this doesn't have any conflicts with the base branch, and I can just merge whenever I want. So I'll go ahead and merge that pull request. Should I merge it? Yeah, sure, why not? I can always make something new. And you can usually merge it there, set it, and then I will delete this branch. I'll come back to what I was saying later. Then I will delete this branch, even though I might continue using this branch. I'm gonna delete it, and I'm probably gonna come here and go to my manage projects and delete it here as well. PR sad ending delete. Because that way nothing sticks around that you ended up not using, and you don't accidentally edit the wrong project. You're always on the right project, and you can work from what you had instead of getting out of sync with the master branch or something like that.
So you're going to update the first package you did with the changes that got before. Yep. Yeah.
And you can have that, or you know, you can work with that however you want. So I'm gonna, now there's still just master. Before I should have shown you there were both those branches there, but now there's master. And I'm gonna pull this, and now this project is updated. And that's how you work with it when it's from someone else. You can be a collaborator on a project and make a pull request. On pull requests on my code, I can review it, I can test it out, I can say merge, right? And then I can go back here and I can pull your changes in, and then I will go and I will see, oh, these are the changes, right, that this person made. And each person really should, if you're collaborating, work on their own branches. Sometimes multiple branches. It's a bit better if you try and focus on completing one branch at a time, because it gets messy. Sometimes you will run into a situation where, oh, I did not engineer this. I should have engineered. I should have done something clever. Do we have time for that? We might have time for me to show a merge conflict. Sometimes it won't work. Sometimes you'll get something red here when you try and make the pull request, and instead of something green that says there is a conflict. And sometimes you'll be able to fix it within this interface. It'll say, you know, it'll say resolve conflict, and you can try and fix it that way. And sometimes it'll be too complex for GitHub to handle. And then usually your go-to is probably to re-edit the files that are easiest to edit. So to ignore those pull requests, combine them on your own into something that works. If you want to go deeper in down that rabbit hole, we can, work with you to show you how to do that in a way that is more fine-tuned and more fine-grained, and you can actually kind of go into your scripts and pick which changes need to show what, right? Which changes should be kept and which changes should be thrown away, and figure out how the conflicts can be resolved. I realize that a lot of this is probably using vocabulary that isn't familiar.
Are you, Michelle, are you trying to finish for 2, or are you trying to finish before then?
Oh, I'm trying to finish for 2. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
No, I think you're rushing, and I'm not sure how much more I think you've got time. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So, I'm trying to.
Do you want some questions that might help?
I think some questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Instead of me trying to guess what the next questions will be.
Yeah.
I think if y'all can raise your hands, and I can try and check the chat.
There haven't been any questions on the chat yet.
Oh.
Okay. Sure. So have I gone so fast that I've lost everyone, or are some people still
Probably
with
pretty
me?
close. Michelle,
Probably.
could you, so if we looked at, I'm wondering if on Suffolk, we might have some files that have pull requests to be reviewed, and we don't have to do anything, but there you'd already have, there might be something with a merge conflict. It might be worth just looking at it so people can see some of that.
I can make, if you want, I can make something with a merge conflict. So I don't think we have any, we have no pull requests on virtual courts. So this won't show me what has pull requests open, I think. It
It's
will.
like there's one on the doc assembly.
There we go, yeah. So here we've got a pull request. I doubt it will have a merge conflict though. Hey, Lance's bio. So I believe I have permissions and I might be able to merge this, but I won't. Though no reviewers have been selected, I can show you the interaction here where you can choose from a list of users. And is that yours, Maeve? No, that's not yours. I forget what your username is. But I could request.
No, sorry, I made the request, so you can't add me as a reviewer.
Oh, it was from you, Maeve. Okay, then
Yes.
I should be requesting Lance.
No, not Lance, not Lance.
I'm just teasing. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna.
It should be David.
Okay. There you go.
I did think he already merged it, or Quentin. Oh, it was Quentin who merged the last one, because I updated my.
I think I merged, but yeah.
Yeah, because I was just showing Sinead and Finola how to do it. So I just did mine and I did Lance's, and I think they're going to be doing a couple of other ones.
If we do want to do a merged conflict, then we can definitely show it. But I think there was so much information in there already. If there are questions on the information we've done so far, which is, I know it might not seem like it, but is the basics, then I think we should try and address those first.
I think you've got time to walk Sam and Mark through creating a package and doing some changes.
Let's do that.
And maybe doing their first commit to GitHub.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like to give people the opportunity to speak up if they do have a question, to just, give them a minute, because I know sometimes it takes a little, but let me.
While people are thinking about that, how big should a commit be? That might be, I'm going to give you some leading questions.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Maybe had this question.
Well,
how big should a PR be, and how big should
Yeah, my question was how big the PR must be, because my commit thing is generally every time I make a change.
Yeah,
like,
commit early and often. So I will tell you, and I say this all the time, I know, but like, if you don't use Git, it's not going to help you. So commit early and often, use it like a save button, if you aren't using it at least once a day, use it at least once a day. Set a time where you commit at least once a day.
And you can keep committing to the same branch, right? So it's the branch that holds all your
Yep.
changes.
Yep, you can commit to the same branch over and over and over again as much as you want. And what was I going to say with words? I swear I was going to say it with words.
My question was the PR. How big?
And the
how
PR.
how many commits can be in a PR? Because I mean, right now when I make a PR, all my commits go in there, and then I don't know what to call the PR because it's got various commits.
Right. So usually with commits, I'll do them whenever, but I will try and keep them. So this relates, maybe. I'm sorry. I know it sounds like it doesn't, but I will try and keep them to one thing. So for example, I might fix a bunch of typos in one commit. A PR is very similar, except for if you're not used to committing, commit arbitrarily, and that's totally fine. As you get more experience, you will find that there are ways to chunk your changes so that they make sense together. PRs are the same, except for on a slightly wider scale, slightly, broader view. So for example, I just committed a question I added, but I haven't finished creating the sad event ending, right? I need to add an if statement here. If, I'll do if what is rock fact, whatever, then happy end, else sad end, send sad end, right? So then I might do a commit that says added logic for sad end, and that might be it. And then I might make a pull request with that says I added a sad ending, right? I implemented the sad ending. Or the unhappy ending. Some people might prefer to call
So
that.
it doesn't matter how many commits. The idea is you try and cluster like changes together and put those into a pull request.
And ideally something that is testable, right? So you say, I've added this, someone can look at it and they can see, okay, I've seen what changes you made, and I can see how I can test this one thing that you've done, right? So it's not,
So maybe you don't want to do a pull request before you can run something. So somebody else can run. You don't want to.
A pull request should be working code.
Yeah.
Pull request should be working code. You can have as many commits as you want. You can have 1,000 commits if you want. There's no technical limitation. The question is, what are you asking another person to review, right? And what are you going to be looking back on to mark your own, progress, and to be able to tell if something is wrong, where you need to go back to, or where you need to hunt down. A bug started showing up. Where did it start showing up? I can, go and start looking through commits, and I can think, was it at this commit? And these messages make sense to me, and that's where commit messages help. But I can also look at pull requests. I can look at closed pull requests, and that can tell me something as well. So it's a way to explore my code better. But it's a lot about chunking it in ways that make sense, and especially generally speaking, you want someone to review your code before putting it up. Even if sometimes you'll change something really quick. You'll be like, that was bad, right? And then you're like, okay, that's all I changed, so I'll push it, and now it's good. And it's a PR, and I'll just merge the PR and whatever. But as some of us can see, I've left off the pipe, and I didn't notice, and that's fine. That's human. But that's why it's good to have someone that will at least run the code once before you merge it into a working master branch. And having a person test it is one of the thoughts you have when you make a PR. Because ideally they don't just run it to see that they can start up the interview. They can also test the questions that you impacted, right? Does that make a bit of sense, Maeve?
Yeah, that does. Yeah, thank you. I think we can move on to Sam and
oh, sure.
Mark's thing.
That's a great
If that's
idea.
okay with you, Sam?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine with me.
Awesome.
You want me to share my screen sometime
I
soon?
will
Or?
stop share.
Yeah, are you
Yep,
comfortable
now share
sharing?
your screen, or if you're comfortable. If not, we can. I don't know how else we'll get your code, but I could try and do a demo on what you're trying to do. Ooh, great. So what you've done is you've generated a YAML through the wizard. I'm just making sure everyone's on the same page. And now you want to download that file to begin with.
Yes. So I hit download already. I can do it again.
Oh, that's fine. All right. So now you want to go to your playground, your own playground in apps, dev, Suffolk, perfect. And this looks like the default playground. So go ahead to the drop down on the top left. Yep. And make a new project. Go to manage projects and make a new project. And what is the name of this form?
It's affidavit of indigency.
Supplement.
Oh, supplement. Yep.
So, yep, affidavit, no spaces, only alphanumeric characters, and it can't start with a number. Nope, that is not an alphanumeric character. So alphabetical, so A through Z, capital and lowercase all work, and numbers. So you would, yeah, affidavit of indigency. I generally use caps to denote different letters because that helps me read it, but it doesn't matter right now. Yeah, like that. Of, yeah. Yeah, perfect. So now click on that project. Great. Now go to, now you don't really need test.yaml. You can have it if you want, but you can just rename it to affidavit of indigency. And the convention—
It is a hard word to say, right?
It is, it's really bad. But I would suggest, so the convention we've been using is a lowercase, all lowercase. I know all the conventions are annoying.
That's all good, yeah.
And then dashes instead of underscores is the convention I've seen for YAML files generally. I kind of dislike it because, oh, you know what? Never mind. Change it back to test.yaml. I should show you the right way to do it as opposed to the wrong way to do it. And we just won't include it. Yep, save. So you see up there next to test.yaml, that name, upload. So upload your file.
You can use an arrow, Michelle, if you click on annotate. That helps.
An arrow. That would be amazing. Where's annotate? There we go.
What's it called?
Oh, now I have a whole menu for annotating.
You've opened up a Pandora's box.
I knew you did arrows. It just never occurs to me. All right. So
I think this is it. Yeah.
that's the PDF.
Oh.
Yes, you want to do the YAML
like
first.
that because it was a PDF. Sorry, only YAML files can be uploaded here.
All good.
You can do whichever one first, but right now we're in the YAML.
Can you repeat that about the arrow? What were you saying about the arrow? You just use the arrow on your keyboard?
No. That's for Slack, for Zoom. Zoom will let you use an arrow to point to things.
To like indicate. But I don't. Is it just on the like the host?
So let's go to the file name real quick because I just want to make sure
anybody can use it. You don't have to be the host.
I just want to make sure it doesn't have anything extra on the end. That's great. So we can just use this name. That's fine. I mean, if we were going to change it, now would be the time to change it because otherwise it gets problematic afterwards. But do we want to change it now?
Might as well.
Might as well. Okay. Yeah. Lowercase and dashes. Sorry.
No problem.
No, I can't unannotate it. How do I do that? Sorry.
So, and a lowercase I.
It's of, yeah, not to. Affidavit of.
Yeah, load up as two.
Oh, okay. There we go. And so go ahead and save that. And then upload the—
Got a syntax error.
The PDF. Yep.
It would just be the missing template.
Oh, gotcha.
I suspect it's not, but
I think no. I think you need to walk Sam through.
You have to go
uploading.
To
yeah. Okay, so let's go to the folders, templates, browse, upload a template file. So click browse, find your PDF.
Here.
I assume so. I don't know which one is the right one, but yeah, go ahead. Upload. And the name is slightly off and we can leave it or we can decide to change it. But, and so now go back, we can try and run it on the playground. Often they need some tweaking before they will run. So you can hit save and run and we can see if how far it gets.
Actually, this, oops.
What does that mean?
So, non-type object has no attribute in code. That's a new one for me. If you've got something
Before either.
Quentin.
But what I'm thinking is, let's see, it's if we look at the traceback, you can read it from top to bottom. We try to find a line in a file that we might recognize. But towards the bottom of this, we see that it's finding a problem in something called parse.py, which tells us that something about how docassemble is trying to interpret the YAML file. You've probably all seen errors that have to do with the YAML file being incorrect, which come from a different level of error. I'm curious about the safe ID.
Yeah. So what we can do, should we
almost certainly we know where this
now,
problem is going to be. It's in that Python code block at the top. That's generally where these kind of problems come in. So it's probably like something like the wrong type of quotes, because that's a problem we've seen a few times.
if you want, you can turn that block into a comment for now, and we can see if it runs without that.
So, right after code.
above mandatory, no, above mandatory. This is, I'm sure you'll write comment, colon, pipe. No, the pipe character, right? And then underneath it, the rest of the block, select the rest of the block. Select the code in the rest of that block. So mandatory and code and everything, lines 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to the block separator, which will be the 3 lines, 3 horizontal lines. So
I think it's going to be quite far because there's a lot of variables.
Yep, keep going.
Can you use tab inside the
there? And
editor?
You're on an Apple, right?
Yes.
Command and then right square bracket.
I did not know.
And now it's a comment. So now you can save and run that and see if we've solved the problem.
It's going to cause a different problem, probably. Okay.
Same problem.
Oh, it didn't solve it though, so that's actually a good clue.
Yep, that's a really good clue. So I can, for now, show you how to get this onto GitHub.
Okay.
Ideally, it would be working code before you put it on GitHub, but we'll just go with it for now.
Well, that makes sense, because then you've got the ability to do branches and commits and all, you know, to fix it.
And also but this will be creating the repository, so it'll be the master branch.
Yeah.
But also, you know, pushing not working code, committing not working code is still okay. I mean, if you want to collaborate on fixing it, then, you know, you commit and you push to a branch, right? A different branch, and have people look at that. And the commit will still be there from non-working code, but you'll be able to show it to other people, and other people will be able to pull your code in and edit it and run their own tests and really dig into it. Whereas if they just had to trade files, it wouldn't work as well. They wouldn't be able to do that as easily. So, okay, so let's go to folders. I'm gonna show you how to get this onto GitHub. Folders, packages. Go down, give this a package name, actually. Give it a package name.
There's the affidavit of.
Yep, without dashes. This is another one where it's
So is it capitalized?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
okay.
Initial capitals, yeah, Pascal case. I usually don't use camel case like that. So make the A capital.
And then spaces. Can you do spaces?
No, I don't believe you can.
No spaces.
Everything has different rules. It's like all those password, you know, whatever.
It's like blue booking is what is helpful for law students sometimes.
Okay, blue booking. Got it. Okay, and so select right there, you want to select in interview files. click that, and then in template files, click your template. And if you want to select multiples of them, you can do it with command, and you can command click multiples or command unclick ones so that they don't get unselected. Like if you click on test, it'll unselect. If you just click on it without a command, right, it'll unselect them. But if you hold down command, you can select, you know, multiple or whatever. Okay, so now go down to the bottom and save. And now let's see if you have GitHub hooked up. So scroll down to the bottom again. Oh, freaking awesome. All right, go to GitHub and give it an initial commit message.
So
You can
just
say
write
initial commit code, you know, not working code or something.
Yeah.
So whichever, yeah. And commit, and then you can, if you don't have to go to your GitHub repository, but if you did, you would then see that repository exists.
Michelle, do you always save before you commit? You save on your server and then commit?
Really, you only have to save if you change something on that page.
No, I mean on this GitHub. Oh, you mean when you, like, if you change a file in the package, that's when you save. Is that what you mean?
File, or if I edited the README, or if I edited the you know, the one of the other properties like the version number, right? So
then you save it before you commit. Okay.
Then I save before I commit.
You might only really strictly be required to the very first time. Before you won't get the GitHub button until you've saved at least once.
I get the GitHub button even when I've edited stuff on that page, but
before you've committed.
The repository has been created.
Right, before the repository's been created, you always have to hit save. Yeah, you won't have.
Other than that, I think the save doesn't have any effect. But if you're going to just commit to GitHub, because it will save it as part of the process of committing.
Right. And there you can start the process that I started at the beginning of the video, which is, you know, starting to work on different branches. Now, some people, I know other people have other perspectives. Quentin doesn't love having a lot of branches or a lot of projects in his, you know, project management list, in his project list on the server. And that is also perfectly reasonable. I love branches. I love shooting off and then, you know, either killing it later, or you just need to be able to, you need to know yourself and know if you're really going to clean up those branches.
Michelle, is there, you've only got 1 minute. Is there a quick way to show, you said you can do a branch to a branch?
You can make a branch off of any branch. So if this branches are not, all branches are branches. The master branch is just a branch.
Right.
So you can go, say there was a branch called here, you know, hot fix or something like that, or using special names, I don't know, right? Or removing defendant. Then you can, in your server, you can, on the doc assemble server in the playground, you can go to packages and you can say pull. So I'm gonna, not mouse, maybe mouse. So is this showing my mouse? I don't know. You would go to packages. Yeah.
We're looking at Sam's screen. I don't want to, maybe this is a different, it's 2 o'clock now, so maybe it's.
Well, don't scroll down. So you would hit pull. You would go to this drop down. You would select a different branch, right? Yep. And then you would, you don't have to do it because it's not there. And then you would select pull. Okay. And then you would make your changes. And then when you pushed, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. When you can hit cancel if you want. And then when you push to GitHub next, you can make a new branch. Again.
Oh, so you pull from the branch that you want to contribute a new branch to. That's how you do it.
Whatever code it is you want to work on, you pull that, and then you can always make a new branch from there. Or you can push to the same branch. But yeah, if someone else is working on that branch, try not to do that, because that will become complex. How do I take away my arrow? There we go. Okay. So 2 o'clock has rolled around. If we have to end, David, that's all right.
Thank you so much,
If
Michelle.
not,
That was
I can
really
take
great.
questions. Or, yeah.
We do not have to explicitly end. My meeting that abutted this was canceled.
Okay. So whatever questions folks have, I'm up for that.
I have a quick question, actually.
Okay.
So just for workflow for Mark and I to pick this up again, should we try and figure out why there's an error? I don't know if we're able to do that, or should we just continue on with some other little piece of the project?
I think figuring out why I don't know what other piece of the project you would work on, so I'm not sure. If there is some other productive use of your time, then that's fine. If you think you can track down the error on your own, or are interested in trying, then that is also good. And if you need help, then we're around to help and dig into it as well. And now that you have,
generally the workflow is to try out for a little bit by yourself. You can Google, you can look at the disassemble information, and if you can't get it within like half an hour, you can reach out on the code channel with that error itself, kind of like what I did the other night. Just paste the error in and say like, has anybody seen this? And then somebody has probably seen it.
The really cool thing is now that you've posted it to GitHub, anybody can go to GitHub, pull your code, look at it, and know exactly what the issue is and help you with it.
Well, they can at least try it out on their own machine.
That's what I mean.
Write their own debug messages, and they can change the code to tweak it and try and play around with it. And they'll be able to, it'll be much easier for them to find, to look for the problem. Yeah.
So now I just wanted to mention, okay, so Sam is gonna, this is a repository. Now, when Sam makes a change, should Sam commit to his own branch now after that? So
especially because he's working with someone else, right? Well, first of all, he should transfer the ownership of the repository to Suffolk Lit Lab, and then get Quentin or David to give people permissions. And we have another video for that, and we can also go over that again sometime, but that takes a couple minutes. So, so then at that point, when they both have access to this repository, then you would each push to different branches, and you would make pull requests to merge your changes in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In my description. All right, Maeve, did that answer that question? Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
At least, again, that would be the way I would do it. I know other folks have other thresholds. I'm open to other questions. And if you come up with one later, you can also hit us up later in the code channel.
When you decide to merge, even if there's not a conflict, you can compare and merge. You can edit when you compare, right? Or I mean, so you showed us the two little links. There's a merge and then there's a compare. Can you edit in the screen where you're comparing, so you can pick which changes you want to merge?
Can you edit in the screen where you're comparing? So when someone makes a commit, you have little tabs at the top. So there's a conversations tab, and there's also a compare tab up there. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Even once you've made a pull request, you can edit files on GitHub. My suggestion is that you don't. My suggestion is that if you want to make a change to a branch, which we haven't covered this actually, and this is good. If you make a pull request, you can still make changes to that branch. So if you go back to your code and change something and make a new commit, that new commit will appear in that PR pull request.
Oh, that's
PR is a pull request. So a PR is actually just a window into the branch, right? It doesn't freeze anything. It doesn't change anything. You can just look at what's been going on inside that branch. And when you add a new commit in there, that window will show, that view will show the change in that branch. So if you made a PR and I, Michelle, decided, I think there need to be some changes here, but I talk to you and you say, why don't you make those changes? And I go, all right. So I pull in your branch that the branch you're making the PR with. I make those changes. I push possibly to the same branch, right? And then those changes will be in that PR. Those changes will also be in the pull request that you're making.
All right. So you don't ever really edit on GitHub.
I generally don't, because I always want to be able to press run and
Test
make
it,
sure that
yeah.
things are still running. Because generally speaking, if you're making a PR, there are times when that's not as possible. For example, if you want to fix a merge conflict, you either have to take it locally or you do it on GitHub, and then you can't do it in docassemble. So that might be a time where I might take that chance and then fix it if something breaks. But I do tend to edit things in but you know, if you're more comfortable editing on GitHub, then do it that way, and just make sure that you do pull it in afterwards and make sure it works. Just always run the code after changing it.
So one example of a merge conflict, I think, is if you're on that page, you know, when you click the GitHub button at the bottom, if you change the version in that field, you know, the box close to the top, if you change the version and then you push it and to GitHub to a new branch, say, then I think that'll cause a merge conflict.
So that causes a merge conflict when someone else has changed the version somewhere else.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah.
So, you know, like Quentin changed it in the meantime. He bumped up
Yeah.
a version. Handling version numbers between people is a bit of a juggling act.
I was just trying to think of something that's simple that would cause a merge conflict, that you don't want to create a new project, download the whole thing, do the edits, push it back up again, and then go
That's
like
fair.
that.
Yeah, that's fair. I might edit something like that on GitHub, though. Again, if I don't have a lot of experience with that code, or even if I do, there are ways you can mess up the version, the code that does the version number.
Yeah.
So, you know, but you might have to, because it's a merge conflict, you might have to edit it on GitHub. I would just also then run it on the playground to make sure that it's still working in the way you intend.
Yeah.
Michelle, thank you so much. I've got to jump off, but that was really informative.
Yeah.
Great.
And thanks, Quentin, for the beginning explanations as well.
All right. Thanks, Maeve. All right. I'll call this meeting of the... Oh, nice, David. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a bit intense. I'm not sure how to take that. I'm not sure how to take that.
I can go here. I can go with something a little less intense. There we go.
All right. All right. There we go. Good old Picard.
That was good. And also, this is perfect as a video because people can go back and look at the little pieces again and again and again.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope so. And Maeve is fantastic and may even make a timestamps for this video. So we won't make her, but when she does, it's amazing.
I'm probably the one who uploads it, so I don't think there'll be timestamps.
Oh, there you go.
But if someone wants to put them together afterwards, we can easily paste them in.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I think Maeve's done that even for stuff you've uploaded. So, or if someone else wants to do that, wants to mark certain timestamps that are useful or that separate out this parts of the discussion, that's good. All right.
Thanks,
shall we give like 10 seconds for questions to come up? Very uncomfortable 10 seconds. So I'm starting to count now. All right. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great Teaching Tuesday.
Bye.